The following recording is a production of Kickin' Out at 2 in conjunction with the WrestleMania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network and is intended for private use only. For more information, head on over to facebook.com/Kickin' Out at 2 or our Twitter handle @Kickin' Out 2, along with searching Retromania with a W on any and all podcast platforms available to listen to archive shows such as this and all the great content of the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. Evergreen content at your fingertips anytime. This is a Dealer's Choice WrestleMania watch party here on Kickin' Out at 2 as we are heading into WrestleMania weekend. Part 1, Dennis, the dealer, will choose a WrestleMania match for us to watch. And then Part 2, I will pick, I do a quick pick, I should say, of the WrestleMania 42 card coming up later this weekend. Looking forward to talking about that with you. But let's get into this watch along here. Joining me, my co-host, my dear close personal longtime friend, the dealer, Dennis J. Levy. What's up, dude?
Fucking ape. So I gave you a couple of matches here and there.
Let's go through the list of what I gave you. Okay. Hogan, King Kong, Bundy from WrestleMania 2.
No.
All right. Inside the big blue steel cage. I gave you the Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
I think that was... people are going to come at me for this one, but I think that goes down as one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. It was an hour of nothing.
Okay. I'm not a big fan of the Iron Man match. I think that match is a little overrated. I will say, though, the last 2 years, because every year I do a WrestleMania binge, I watch, my favorite matches from WrestleMania, and I used to skip that match because it was just an hour, and I'm a big Shawn Michaels guy, and I just thought there was parts of it that just kind of dragged, and it was pretty damn boring. However, there was earlier this year, about a month or so ago, I sat down and watched that match with no phone. I put my phone down, and I learned to appreciate it a little more. I still think that there's parts of it that are dragging, that drag and is kind of boring. I will say this: if that match wasn't an Iron Man match and it was just these two guys for 30 minutes tearing the house down, it would probably be regarded as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time.
They went a half hour. Falls. Make it 2-2,
okay.
1-1.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. All right, so if you keep the Iron Man concept, they got a couple of falls on each other, then they go into the tiebreaker. Okay,
then
all right.
You knew by 30. I'm sorry, I didn't see the WrestleMania live per se.
I didn't either.
But I just so I knew the results, right? But I'm telling you, the way my mind works, after 35, 40 minutes, I'm like, I get it, fine. It's going to be a 0-0 minute.
They're going to go to sudden death. Okay. Yeah. But I learned to appreciate that match more. So that was a match that I gave you, and you said, nope, don't want to watch it. I said, that's fine. That's totally fine.
No way.
The third match I gave you was The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWF Championship from WrestleMania 17. And you passed on that.
I love those matches, but I've seen them way too many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right. That is totally fair. And then the last match I gave you, you were like, absolutely, fucking A, let's do it. And it's the match we're going to watch today. The hardcore match from WrestleMania 22, Mick Foley going one-on-one with Edge.
I love this match. I didn't think... I remember this like yesterday. I remember it's like, this might be an okay match, but Mick Foley's going to have to carry it. Ed brought it.
Yeah.
Ed did a fantastic job. This is when I used to hate Edge. Any excuse to fucking shit on him. I don't know. It just rubbed me off the wrong way. I just didn't like him.
Okay.
But this, I became a fan.
Okay.
Ever since then, I became a fan of Edge.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I like it. So what I'm going to have all you do, as you now know, we're going to watch Edge, Mick Foley, hardcore match, WrestleMania 22. We had just reached I believe it's the 25-year anniversary. No, I'm sorry, the 20th anniversary of this match from WrestleMania 22. And let me just say, before we get into it, this WrestleMania, I wouldn't call it an all-time WrestleMania, but I would call this a sleeper WrestleMania. A WrestleMania that you didn't think on paper when you look at it was going to be good, and after watching it, you're like, wow, that was a great show. Let's talk about it for a minute, okay? Yeah. You have this match, all right? And we'll get into that, when we watch it. You have the Money in the Bank ladder match. Our Rob Van Dam winning the Money in the Bank.
Fucking A, yeah.
You have Shawn Michaels and Mr. McMahon in a no-holds-barred match, which was another sports entertainment spectacle, okay? Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat match. Rey winning the title in honor of his friend Eddie Guerrero. Yeah. The main event, John Cena and Triple H. Not a great match, but a spectacle with that Chicago crowd that was heavily favoring Triple H throughout the course of that match. Okay? That was the first WrestleMania where the audience was, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. You know, they were in Chicago. It was that WrestleMania, hell, even the JBL Chris Benoit United States Championship match was a fun match to watch. So that WrestleMania, to me, like, it really creeps up on you. Like, you don't, when you look at it on paper, you're like, maybe one or two matches, but like, it was actually an enjoyable show to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
So, definitely a sleeper WrestleMania. Maybe that'll be a subject for a future WrestleMania podcast. Sleeper.
Buzz Rushmore of sleeper WrestleManias. Let's do it.
Yeah, we could do something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Manias that just creep up on you. You're like, damn, that was pretty good. It was a pretty good show. Maybe next year's schedule.
Actually, no, we're not. So our kind of MO is it's kind of the stinker ones. Well, anyway, that's a different story for another day.
Well, we can discuss stinker ones if you want. We can at some point.
I fucking love that, actually.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. We can discuss stinker WrestleManias. Maybe next year. Who knows? But yeah. So what I want you all to do is right now is to go to YouTube. Or I'm sorry, not YouTube. Go to Netflix, okay? Because Netflix is the current home for all the old WWE PLEs, pay-per-views, if you will. And search WrestleMania 22. And when you find it, I'm going to have you fast forward to 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 23 seconds. And I'm going to have you hit pause. And when you hit pause, you're going to see the graphic for the hardcore match between Edge and Mick Foley. And then when I say play, press play, and then we're going to watch the video package leading into the match as well as the match itself. You're going to hear the soft, soothing sounds of Dennis J. Levy and myself as we give you our hindsight 2020 review of this match, the storyline heading into the match, the results of this match, so on and so forth. And yeah. That's pretty much what's going to happen. And then, like I said, later, I'm going to be doing a quick pick of the WrestleMania 42 card, so stay tuned for them to give you my predictions, see how well I fare this year coming up on the grandest stage of them all. Yeah, that's that. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a countdown. I'm going to say press play. You'll press play with me. Put your TV on mute. And like I said, you'll be hearing the soft, soothing sounds of Dennis and myself as we watch this match. So, without further ado, 1 hour, 2 minutes, 23 seconds. In 3, 2, 1, press play. Hardcore match, Edge Mick Foley, WrestleMania 22. Now, we remember how this all started, right? As we see here, Edge defeating John Cena and becoming the WWE champion. Now, this was Edge's first 3-week championship run. This was that transitional run. You remember that?
I do, yes.
Now, what did you think of Edge winning it and then losing it in 3 weeks?
I always hate when people...
Transitional champ?
Yeah, I hate transitional champions. I really do. But I fucking loved the way they did it. What was that fucking pay-per-view on a Tuesday?
Tuesday in Texas? Yeah. When Hogan beat Undertaker?
No, not that.
Taboo Tuesday.
Yeah, Taboo Tuesday. Yeah. Here's Cena Bomber goes through hell and back.
Well, no, that was... No, they didn't wrestle on one of those. They wrestled... So, Edge beat Cena after Cena won the Elimination Chamber at New Year's Revolution.
Oh, there we go. There was Revolution. Then, I was one of that Tuesdays.
Then Edge wrestled Cena at the Royal Rumble... 3 weeks later, lost the belt. Rematch against Cena on Raw. Foley ends up being the referee. He has some issues with Edge. Cena wins the match.
Yep.
Edge blames Foley, and now we're here. That's how it all gets set up. And Edge was the one that tried. He sort of was bringing the hardcore legend out of Mick Foley for this match. As much as Foley brought out a lot of toughness out of Edge, Edge was kind of bringing that hardcore, nasty side of him out of him for this match.
But real quick though, that Valentine's Day event, that wasn't on a Tuesday?
No,
it
was on a Sunday. Wait, Valentine's Day?
I thought it was like a Valentine's Day event or something. Like,
No, they've had a Valentine's Day pay-per-view before, but it fell on a Sunday.
I show you
St.
what I
Valentine's Day Massacre.
But I do remember I don't know. I do remember the Elimination Chamber and that
Edge wins. He cashes in Money in the Bank
because I hate Cena Bomber.
Yeah,
we all know that. But yeah, then I just hate that fucking shit. Then I don't know. I just don't see the point because Cena gets the title or drops the title and then gets it back and then I don't know, brother. I just didn't make any sense to me.
I get it.
Yeah,
I was disappointed that Edge lost the title so quickly. I liked Edge. As we see Jim Ross introducing Joey Styles, who's going to be calling this match with the King. Styles was the lead commentator on Raw for a few months, and then he got bumped off of WrestleMania because they brought back JR, and then they put him on for this match, which was kind of neat. I liked it that they had Styles calling this match. But I was disappointed that Edge lost the title in 3 weeks. I thought that he was doing some great work, deserved to have a longer run, but I was happy that he was able to get something significant for this. Like, I felt like his character and just in general, he needed something significant for this WrestleMania.
Yeah.
If he wasn't going to be in the title mix, put him in something memorable for WrestleMania, and then having him work with Foley did just that.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that when it comes to, memorable Mick Foley matches, he works with guys that he sees a future or potential in, and then he brings that aggressive side out of them in a performance that you don't expect. Like for instance, let's just rattle them off. Triple H at the Royal Rumble in 2000 for the championship.
Yeah.
He brought this aggressive side out of him that nobody saw that made him a legitimate main eventer after that match. Randy Orton in 2004 in the hardcore match brought out this aggressive side out of him that turned him into a made man. And then the same thing can be said for the match here with Edge. He brought this nasty side out of him. But you could also argue that Edge kind of brought some elements of Cactus Jack out in this match.
Yeah.
With Mick Foley.
You got to dig deep to beat Foley. And he makes these people who have the pretty boy aspect, they make them tough guys. So that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it was. But Foley I think has done a good job, or had done a good job of that. And if you recall too, Dennis, Mick Foley's WrestleMania resume is not exactly, before this, was not exactly the most memorable.
No.
Let's talk about
him in WrestleMania matches to begin with. But other than that so he's supposed to retire. Then he goes in that match when he tried 4 or 5 guys.
It was the 4-way.
Yeah, the 4-way. Thank you.
With the McMahon in every corner. They brought him back to be in the main event at WrestleMania, knowing that he was already retired.
And what else did he do?
All right, I'll go down his WrestleMania resume. WrestleMania 13, in that very building that they're currently wrestling in right now, Chicago, he teamed with Vader to take on Owen Hart and the British Bulldog for the WWF Tag Team Championships in a very forgettable match. This is when he was Mankind.
I have no idea. I can't remember. Yeah.
WrestleMania 14, he had the dumpster match with Terry Funk, which was probably at that point the most memorable moment. 15, he wrestled the Big Show to determine who was going to be the special guest referee in the Steve Austin Rock main event.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 2000, he was in the 4-way with Linda McMahon in his corner.
Stinker so far. Yeah.
Then WrestleMania 17, he was the referee in the Shane McMahon Vince McMahon street fight, which I heard a story recently that he actually had turned down big money to wrestle Vince at that WrestleMania, because the original pitch was Vince and Mick Foley at WrestleMania in Houston, and Foley turned it down because of the whole retirement thing.
Yeah,
and he felt like it wasn't necessary for him to come back. He has later admitted in interviews that he regrets doing that for the amount of money that they had offered him. Yes, this is a genius spot. Nobody knows what's really going on until the big reveal when Foley takes the flannel off and we get the barbed wire wrapped around his waist, which was actually a pretty clever spot. Excuse me. So that was Foley's very unimpressive WrestleMania resume.
Yeah.
If you look at it. And so this also, too, behind the scenes, Foley has said on a number of interviews when this match comes up in conversation he was looking for that major WrestleMania moment. And obviously he got it with Edge in this match by the performance. And this is a great spot, too. He whips him with the barbed wire.
Yeah. Yep.
Really clever stuff here.
I'm just enjoying this match so much.
No, I get it. I get it.
But yeah, other than the dumpster match, oh my God, the Wolf, those are stinkers.
Now, compare that to Edge's WrestleMania resume, okay? He had the Triangle Ladder match in 2000, the TLC match in 2001, the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2005, he won the very first one, okay? So imagine you have Edge, who at that time had a very impressive WrestleMania resume, and then you had Foley, who you would think would have a very impressive WrestleMania resume, but he doesn't.
Yeah. I think that Edge didn't win much in WrestleMania, but man, he sure had some bangers of matches.
Oh yeah, the ladder matches, the spear off the top of the ladder. Yeah. This is a cool spot too. Lita piggyback riding Foley as he double clothesline.
Yeah, that is cool.
That is a pretty cool spot. Yeah, Edge is no stranger to these type of car crash physical matches, but
I wonder,
like you said, he had to dig deep when it came to being in there with Foley.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that like that first pin right there was more like foreshadowing, like anyway.
What
they had like they're pitting outside so they know when they do the finish. Okay, they can pin out.
They pin him outside on the floor. Okay, that's not bad. That's not a bad way of looking at it. While we are talking about WrestleMania as this match is going on, the Hall of Fame, AJ Styles headline act this year. What do you think of AJ's retirement and him going into the Hall of Fame?
So my only problem is he still has a lot of gas in it.
You think so?
Is he on the card right now? Does he have a match?
No, he's retired.
That's it? Is he just that Gunther match was like legitimately it? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they did the farewell like a couple of weeks later, and then Undertaker came out to announce he was going into the Hall of Fame.
So I'm a little confused. So I don't get why can't I have Gunther AJ at WrestleMania? I don't know. I'm so confused about it.
All right, AJ said in an interview a couple of months back that, WrestleMania has kind of lost its luster. It's lost its special feeling because it's gone to 2 nights, and sometimes the WrestleMania shows just kind of drag. And he said, plus, everyone wants to retire at WrestleMania, so he felt it would be more fitting if he were to go out at the event that he debuted in, and that's the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
So that was his reasoning behind that, and also too, you say he's got a lot of, you feel like he's got a lot left in the tank. He said he'd been in an interview he did. He said that his neck, he was struggling a little bit, and he was starting to lose a step, and he didn't want to go out being remembered as someone that lost a step. So he said it was time. He was just in some pain.
I can appreciate that. Barry Sanders. I can.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Barry Sanders went out on top, and that's what AJ's pretty much done here. So having him to go into the Hall of Fame this weekend is going to be pretty cool. If you were to rattle off some AJ Styles matches that you feel deserve, as my internet is acting like an asshole again.
Pause. Like my favorite AJ Styles matches.
Pause your recording here as we're listening to this. Yeah. My internet wants to be a fucking asshole, even though I just paid the bill recently. So while we're waiting for the internet to come back, rattle off some AJ Styles matches that you think are deserving of like his Hall of Fame career.
I forgot which one this was, but one of the I think it was the second encounter where AJ fought Kurt Angle. I think that's probably the
in
best.
TNA.
Oh, those matches were incredible.
Yeah,
but especially like I just remember like I think anyway the first pay-per-view match they had was just insane.
Yeah,
so I'll go Kurt Angle. What was his best opponent?
Okay,
that Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh my god,
the New Japan match.
Oh, dude,
okay,
that was pretty good.
Now, did you see any of his WWE? Did you see the last match he had with Shinsuke before he retired on Saturday night's main event?
No,
it was a really good match. It made up for the that bullshit WrestleMania match.
Oh yeah, and for the record, yes. When I say Shinsuke Nakamura,
New Japan,
New Japan,
yeah, the New Japan match. Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
What else comes to mind that you think is
we
Hall
talked about it
Hall
in
of
the
Fame
last
worthy?
podcast. I don't know about that, but him and Shane, he brought that was Shane's best match by 10,000 miles. That he brought the best out of Shane that night.
Okay.
And he did things I didn't think he was capable of doing. Being a great ground wrestler.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was a side of AJ. I'm so glad I got to watch.
Yeah.
That AJ Cena Bomber, fucking great.
Which
matches.
one?
My favorite one was the SummerSlam match because I thought Cena Bomber was going to win. So him going over, I didn't see happening. So I got to go with the SummerSlam.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll continue this conversation. As apparently my internet is acting up yet again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart my internet, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will hopefully continue this watch along here on Kicking Out at 2. All right, we're back because my internet stopped being a fucking asshole. And we're going to resume this watch along here. So I have it paused at 1 hour, 13 minutes, 45 seconds. So when I say play, press play, and we will continue along with this watch along of Edge and Mick Foley from WrestleMania 22. So in 3, 2, 1, hit play. As you see Edge putting some work on Mick Foley on the table. Great list of matches you mentioned when it comes to AJ Styles and his Hall of Fame career. Also, Demolition's going to be going into the Hall of Fame.
My favorite tag team of all time.
I'm so excited. Yeah, so it's long overdue. They had recently signed a Legends contract within the last year. From what I heard, they were actually in attendance at last year's WrestleMania or last year's Hall of Fame ceremony, and the company invited them, and I believe that was right around the time when they had just signed the Legends deal. So, action figures are being made of them, and they're part of the video game, and we have the WrestleFest arcade, and they're a part of that as well. So,
who do you think is going to induct them?
At this time, I don't know. If I'm willing to guess, Bret Hart would be a good choice because the Hart Foundation had some pretty good matches with Demolition.
That's not a bad one.
But one team that I think would be good to induct them would be Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters. They had some pretty good matches with Demolition.
Yeah.
Traded the belts a couple of times with each other. So I can definitely see Arn and Tully getting the honors, but I could also see them not doing it and not having anyone induct them, and they just bring them out to do their speech as well.
Yeah,
who knows? By the time this recording drops, they might have already announced it. But
Fuji's dead.
Fuji's not around.
Jimmy Hart, maybe
Powers of Pain. I'm guessing it's more so that they're one of those entries that I don't necessarily think would need an inductor. But it would be nice. And I think like Arn and Tully or Bret Hart, I think, are probably the most likely if you were to bring somebody. It's guys that know that they'll be able to. He almost took off Lita with the chair.
I would have gave Lita so much credit if she would have took it.
What's a Demolition match that comes to mind that you like?
Oh, right off the bat, Brainbusters. You said it. Brainbusters, Demolition. The most gnarly chair shot I've ever seen in my life is when Tully waxed the shit out of Smash.
Really?
Dude.
Was that when they beat them? Was that when they beat Demolition for the belts?
Yeah. Watch that chair shot. It fucks them. Oh,
yeah.
You can tell he's in La La Land.
So let me ask you something.
Yep.
What did you think of Crush and Demolition as the third man? You like the original better?
No, 10,000%.
Yeah.
And Crush, bless his heart, I love him, but he did not fit in Demolition.
Okay. See, I didn't mind it, and I thought honestly, like they would have kind of gone with the Freebird rule, but Axe was on his way out physically, couldn't take it anymore.
I went some bad sushi nearly killed him.
But yeah, that's a pretty good match. I like the match with the Hart Foundation and Demolition at SummerSlam when the Road Warriors got involved. I will say that I think it's criminally underrated that Demolition and the Road Warriors did not have a pay-per-view match to blow off their rivalry. Like I thought that should have been a WrestleMania match. I know the matches weren't very good, but I would imagine they would be able to build on spectacle with the two of them. As we see Edge going for the cover and kicking out here. Now, if you remember, Dennis, during this time period, Edge and Foley, they had this match. It's regarded as a classic. On the bracketology episode, Justin admitted that this match almost gets too much fanfare from the audience.
Oh, I think that's bonkers.
Okay. Like that, this is some sort of holy grail of WrestleMania matches. What's your take on that?
I think it is a holy grail of wrestling matches.
WrestleMania matches or wrestling matches in general?
In general.
Okay.
If you're going to say that it's just the contracts and styles, what it did to Ed's career. Mm-hmm. What did to fucking Mick Foley's career?
Back body drop or side suplex, I should say, into the thumbtacks.
Yeah, come on.
I said this to him, and he kind of understood the thought process behind it. I don't think it's a holy grail of WrestleMania matches, but I will say that I think during this time period in 2006, the reason why it gets the lore and the reason why it gets its flowers is because you didn't see this type of stuff on WWE programming. You didn't see fire when they lit the table on fire. Like, that wasn't a thing. So to kind of adopt some of that ECW stuff into their programming was different for them. And I think that's why people give this match the love that they do, because they had no disqualification matches and they had hardcore matches, but this was a little different than what they were used to doing. That's just my take. I mean, do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now, you can also argue that this was kind of like an introduction to them bringing back the ECW brand and making it a third brand when they had Foley involved in some of that stuff leading up to the One Night Stand pay-per-view, where he actually tags with Edge to take on Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk in a pretty fun tag team match.
I still wish that the faces went over that night, but
with Funk and Dreamer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everyone knew it was going to be Edge and Foley. It would have been an awesome... It was a kind of a cool finish because no one thought fucking McKillicuddy was going to be involved.
Going to get speared out, yeah.
That was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that's a fun match. What did you think of heel Mick Foley following this WrestleMania?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
They should have kept the momentum going.
With him and Edge?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen another, honestly, I would have liked to have seen another match with the two of them at that One Night Stand pay-per-view, but I did not have a problem with the tag match with Dreamer and Funk involved.
I think this feud needed a
Hell in a Cell?
I don't know Hell in a Cell, but it needed a proper 3-match,
like a trilogy.
Yeah. Like Edge would have beat him at Mania at a hardcore match, and then Foley does the upset and beats him in a regular match, and then at the ECW, I think that should have been the blow off.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Lita lighting the table with the lighter fluid. I think we're getting towards the
this is it, yeah.
the finish here. Here we go. Yep, we're getting towards it. Edge setting up, and boom, through the table.
That was a little...
It was what?
I'm trying to think. I think Justin might have a point. Like that finish, I remember that was way too choreographed. Looking back now, he literally is looking at Lita, Then the flame goes up, then he gets up, and that was a little too choreographed.
I like the selling here by Edge. Like he's like, look at him. He's like, you could barely, and Foley, losing a couple eyebrows and some hair on his arms. That's the finish there. Edge with the victory.
Fantastic match, but I can't believe I'm going. I know I said 5 minutes ago. I thought it wasn't. It's missing something. It really is. Great match. Great match.
Look at him. He's like quivering and shaking. Like he's like in like a it's tremendous. I mean, I don't know if that's him selling or if that's he legitimately, is that way right now or in that moment. But I think it definitely elevated Edge to another level.
Yep.
And at that point, when I saw this match, I was like, all right, I was happy he got this moment for WrestleMania. I was happy Foley got a memorable WrestleMania moment like this. But at this point for Edge, I was like, all right, they need to give him the belt.
Yeah.
Like they need to put the belt back on him like soon. Because he just proved that he's a major player.
10,000%. That's what I was about to say. Like before this match, he was a superstar, but after this match, he became a number one contender. Like he can main event a pay-per-view, big one.
The following pay-per-view, they put him, Cena, and Triple H together in a triple threat match for the championship. But yeah, This was as good as it was going to get for him for WrestleMania without him being in the title match. As we see Lita and Edge posing for the audience as they make their way to the back, and the scene is it looks like a crime scene, that's for sure. With all the thumbtacks, the barbed wire, Foley making his way up too. With the singed hair, the eyebrows, crouch.
Finally got his true WrestleMania moment.
He got that WrestleMania moment that he'd been wanting for so long, and this was when I was like, all right, he can go now.
Yeah,
he went out on a high note. Like this was as good as it's gonna get.
Which match you like better? Gun to the head, this one or the one against Orton?
I like the one against Orton better.
Me too.
I like the one against Orton better because the story with Orton was more personal. And it warranted that type of match as we end this watch along here.
What about two Hall of Famers, Booker T and Shamel?
I know, right? Oh God, Charmel's a Hall of Fame.
Anyway, that's a tough discussion today. But yeah, fuck Shamel.
But yeah, no, I like the Orton match better with Foley. Like I said, more personal, and that type of match, that blow off, was fitting for their rivalry. But so that about does it for this portion of the watch along. All right, gun to the head, WrestleMania. You mentioned it on a prior episode. Orton and Cody for the belt. You picked Cody. You still going to stick with that?
Yeah, I'm going with Cody. I'm going for both titles. I'm going. I can't believe I'm going Cody and Punk both retain.
Okay. Now for the girls, Rhea and Jade for the WWE Championship.
Oh, they can't get that title off Jade fast enough. It's going to be Rhea.
Okay.
And
and then the other
Liv Morgan. I think both.
And then Liv and Stephanie Vaquer. What do you think about that match?
I fucking think it's fantastic. I'm just so proud of the way women have evolved in wrestling. So to take Liz Morgan and Vaquer, right? Mm-hmm. Smoke shows.
Yep.
They're beautiful, beautiful girls.
Yep.
But they can wrestle and they can go and they can fight.
Yep.
What an image of like women's wrestling from like 20, 30 years ago to what we're having. I'm so proud of those girls. But Liz, I think Liv is going over.
I'm not going to give you my predictions. I'll save that for later. But I wouldn't be against it. I said this, and I'm not acting like I saw this coming a mile away. But Stephanie Vaquer she's the next in line to be their major star. Like Rhea Ripley is the top of the mountain for the women. Stephanie Vaquer is going to eventually get there, and she's well on her way. I mean, guys love her. Yeah. She's got a good looking body. The the butt cheeks on her is,
Yeah.
man. She's a good-looking chick. She can wrestle. Guys love her. Little girls love her. I mean, I was at SummerSlam in August, and I went to the superstore that they had in the American Dream Mall next to the stadium in East Rutherford, and I was waiting in line, and I can't tell you how many times I passed and I saw little girls like dressed or having signs of Stephanie Vaquer with like the eyeliner makeup around like the eyes, like how she paints her face a little bit with the devil horns on top. They had signs. They wore a T-shirt, something like she's gonna be there. I'm telling you right now, even though her English is improving and it's not the best, she's got a connection with the audience. It's something that I can't describe, and I think she's eventually gonna take Rhea's seat at the top of the mountain at some point. Maybe. Within the next, like, 2 years.
If there's one girl currently that's on the roster that's going to take Rhea, though, she's on a different planet. She's on a...
I agree. I agree 100%.
She's like there of like CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I don't know that. I don't think that I know that. That's so.
I agree with that. She's on that level with those guys, but I think Vaquer will eventually get to that point.
I can see that
and take
but
her
she
spot.
Still has a way to go.
She does. She does absolutely. I give her a couple of years, and she's going to be just as popular. I mean, they kind of teased a Rhea Stephanie Vaquer match. You know, when they had the two of them interact on TV. You know, last couple times they've been together on TV, the interactions they've had, people have gravitated to it. They want to see it. So that's a future WrestleMania main event. In my opinion, I'm gonna go on record right now and say that next year's WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley are going to be the women's championship.
I think
match.
you have it half right. But it's going to have to be the year after. I don't think Saudi Arabia is ready for that.
Yeah?
I don't think they're ready for that.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, my man. It's been a lot of fun. Glad we got to watch a classic with Edge and Mick Foley. And, so thank you again.
Yeah, fucking name. Absolutely.
All right, brother. All right, let's get into these WrestleMania predictions as I spoke of earlier. WrestleMania 42 this weekend from Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. 13 matches advertised on the card as of right now. We may see an addition here and there. I don't know. I'm just guessing here based on speculation when it comes to some of the matches that were rumored to be taking place that are no longer or haven't been advertised, I should say. So I'll get into that. But before I get into running down the card, let me just say this build for WrestleMania this year has been a little weird for me. And like a lot of fans here, it just hasn't felt special. It's been kind of all over the place. And I think this WrestleMania is going to be bell to bell. I think this could be one of the best in-ring WrestleManias of all time when it comes to the in-ring performances itself. There's been WrestleManias over the year where the build has been the shits, and then the match is blown out of the water. The first one that comes to mind for me is WrestleMania 31. That build was not the greatest, but when the red light came on and that show started, it's regarded as a top 10 WrestleMania of all time. So I'm not saying that this WrestleMania could be that, but there's a lot of great matches on paper that when you look at them, you're like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Oh, this is really going to be good. Oh, wow, this is going to be a banger. I think bell to bell, this has the opportunity to be an all-timer. I really do. Despite the build-up being kind of, all over the place. And I'll get into that as we talk about these matches. Let's run down the card here for WrestleMania Saturday. Okay, WrestleMania Saturday has right now 7 advertised matches. I don't think they're going to be adding anything else to this card. On ESPN, they had said that this was the final card, and I believe that to be true. Let's start out with the first hour taking place on ESPN2. To open the show, we're going to see LA Knight and the Usos take on the Vision comprising of Logan Paul and Austin Theory, who are the World Tag Team Champions, and they're teaming up with YouTuber, social media, I don't even want to call him a megastar, but I Show Speed. And I'm dating myself here because I really don't know a whole lot about I Show Speed. He's one of those gamers that sits in front of the the computer, the TV, whatever, and he views it on YouTube, and people just watch him, and he makes money, just with people watching him. So I'm not going to bag on how he makes a living, but I don't get it. Anyways, regardless of that, this match is a victim of many circumstances. With the injuries that have taken place, this is one of the reasons why the WrestleMania card and the build has kind of been all over the place, because the injuries of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, who were staples within the Vision faction, affected this WrestleMania card, allegedly. So I'll get into Breaker shortly. But this match here, I think, is a good opportunity for casual fans to see, Jey Uso, who's a popular figure, LA Knight, Logan Paul, social media megastar, this audience that iShow Speed can bring in and get more people to watch. I think it's going to be a fun match. I'm not expecting any classic, but I think they've taken the story with LA Knight and the Vision and the Usos, and they've made the best of it, and it hasn't been terrible. And with the addition of iShow Speed, it's made it interesting. So, prediction: I'm sure we're going to see iShow Speed do some interesting stuff physically. He's been training. They showed that vignette the other night on Raw, where he was getting physical with Theory and Logan during the training. So I expect him to do some pretty wild stuff to try to create a viral moment or a WrestleMania moment. But I'm going to go with the baby faces here. I'm going to go with LA Knight and the Usos winning, and we're finally going to move on from this story with these 6 men. So yeah, that's going to open up WrestleMania Saturday on ESPN2, by the way. So yeah, it's the first time that WrestleMania is going to be taking place on linear television, and ESPN2 gets the first hour. Also in that first hour is going to be the unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. Another situation where you can make an argument that the build has been kind of all over the place. Where Fatu came back in January, he got himself interjected in the Drew McIntyre Cody stuff. And he's the one that thinks that Drew was the one that attacked him in the fall. I'm not sold on that idea. They haven't really explored who attacked Jacob Fatu. They have said that Drew allegedly has attacked him. And I was kind of hoping for it to be Randy Orton, to be quite honest with you, because I really want to see a Randy Orton Jacob Fatu match. I think they would have an excellent match. I just think it's a good pairing, and I'm sure we'll see that down the line. However, Drew and Fatu, they've made another match that has made the best of the build-up and the situations that have transpired as we've gotten to WrestleMania. And so they've leveled up with the intensity. I expect a very physical match. I think it's one of those matches that it could be a sleeper for the weekend. I really do. There's a lot of matches I think could be sleepers, but I think this could be the sleeper of the weekend with Drew and Fatu. I think they've wanted to position Jacob Fatu in a main event role, having him involved with Cody and Drew earlier this year. I think was part of that plan. And so I think Jacob needs a big moment. Last year, his WrestleMania debut, he won the United States Championship, and that was pretty good. Now they're leveling him up, and I think beating Drew in some crazy, wild, unsanctioned match, doing some wild spot, I don't know if they're going to... I don't know what to expect, other than the fact that they're going to beat the shit out of each other, and they've done a good job these last several weeks emphasizing the hatred that they have for each other. I still would like to see some sort of resolution to who attacked Jacob Fatu, because they didn't really define or determine that it was Drew. And I really feel like they've kind of left that mystery hanging, and they're still trying to figure out what to do with it. But if I'm going to go with a prediction, I'm going to go with Jacob Fatu here. I think if you're going to move him up the ranks, if you're going to put him in the main event level, he needs that moment to get to that level and defeating Drew. And it's not going to hurt Drew at all. I think Drew's done a fantastic job this last year. The stuff he did with Cody and Randy as the champion, I really enjoyed it. A lot of people could argue that based on the way that the Randy Orton-Cody Rhodes match has been built up with the whole Pat McAfee situation, that in hindsight, maybe it was a better idea to do Cody and Drew or Cody, Drew, Fatu, and Randy Orton without any McAfee involvement. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I like what Drew and Fatu have put together in the last several weeks. The intensity, really emphasizing how much they hate each other. And one thing I would like to see out of this match, if this is an unsanctioned match, I'd like to see both guys come in like their street clothes, like their civilian clothes, not their wrestling gear. Drew has been, coming out in the last few weeks in his physical altercations with Fatu, and he's worn jeans and he's had his fists taped up. It's kind of got that old school Jim Crockett, come as you are street fight look. I'd like to see that in this match instead of just these two guys showing up in their wrestling gear. I think that would be pretty neat. But if it doesn't happen, I think they're still going to produce a pretty good match. So, yeah, prediction, Fatu for the win in the unsanctioned match over Drew McIntyre, and that will cover the first hour on ESPN2, as well as the WWE or the ESPN Unlimited app. All right, Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match. At the time of this recording, there's a rumor that the Bellas may not be involved in this match if Nikki Bella can't get cleared because of her ankle injury. She's been seen on social media with a walking boot on in Las Vegas. So there's a rumor that if the Bellas can't go in this match, if they are not cleared, or if Nikki's not cleared, then they might insert another team into this mix, whether that's Roxanne and Raquel from the Judgment Day, or if it's even the Kabuki Warriors. And that is also a rumored reason as to why Io Sky and Asuka was not initially advertised or may not take place at all at WrestleMania. We'll see about that. I don't think the Bellas, whether they're in the match or not in the match, is going to factor into the finish and who wins the match. You got the Bellas. You got Charlotte and Alexa, the tag team champions. Nia Jackson, Last Legend, the Irresistible. Charlotte and Alexa, the tag team champions. Nia Jackson, Last Legend, the Irresistible Forces, and Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. I'm going to go with Bayley and Lyra. I think this is a full circle redemption moment. Last year, Bayley and Lyra were supposed to compete for the tag team championship, and they filmed that angle where Bayley got injured. Lyra had to find a partner. She found Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch and her won the tag titles. Next night, Becky turned on Lyra, revealed she attacked Bayley. So I think we're going to get that full circle moment. And I think with the way that Bayley and Lyra's chemistry has grown in the last year as a team, and the buildup in this match with Bayley helping Lyra win and beat Charlotte the other night on television on Monday Night Raw, I think it's time that Bayley and Lyra get a solid run as the tag team champions. Now, I was hoping that for this WrestleMania with the Women's Tag Team Championship that we would see it spotlighted more. And what I mean by that is, in the last several months, they have made the Women's Tag Team Championship more important than Jade Cargill's WWE Championship and Stephanie Vaquera's World Heavyweight Championship. So I was kind of hoping that this match would maybe get some sort of stipulation. Maybe we would see like a women's TLC match with these 4 teams, or even 5 teams, including the Kabuki Warriors. Or even Raquel and Roxanne. I was kind of hoping that Rhea and Io would stay a team heading into this WrestleMania, but I understand why they shifted and they took the belts off of them, and that's fine. And I'll get into Rhea and Jade in a little bit when we talk about WrestleMania Sunday. But I was kind of hoping that the tag team championship would be like a featured bout for the women. And it has ever since Rhea and Io lost the titles, it's kind of taken a step or two back. But I do expect this to be a solid match. And like I said, Bayley and Lyra, I think, are due for a win. Full circle moment from last year. Didn't get the opportunity. Now's the chance. And they do it by nefarious means. I think Bayley and Lyra, we're going to see a little bit more of an edge, an attitude, maybe even a heel turn at some point. But yeah, Bayley and Lyra for the win as the new World Tag Team Champions. All right, next match, another women's match on the card. Becky Lynch challenging AJ Lee for the Intercontinental Championship. This has been an interview with Jessica Carr as the referee. Maybe Becky was going to get a rematch, and she would get the pick the stipulation, where there wouldn't be any kind of referee involvement. They're just there to raise the hand of the winner. Maybe the last woman standing Maybe a last woman standing match, or even a ladder match. But like I said, this has been an interesting rivalry. They've kind of touched on some of the internet narrative over the years of AJ Lee's place in the women's division, and how she left it when she abruptly left the company 11 years ago, and Becky kind of stepped in and took that role, and helped build the women's evolution and the women's division to what it is today, to now where they have 5 matches on the WrestleMania card over 2 nights. So I kind of like that they've added some of that internet narrative, whether it's true or not. A kind of little wink and nod to the audience that, like, all right, we see what you're feeling. We're gonna throw this in there. I'm not expecting a great match, to be honest with you. No offense to AJ Lee, but she hasn't wrestled in over 11 years, and the matches that she has had have not been the best. I will say the match with her and Becky at Elimination Chamber is probably the best match that she's had since she's been back. So when it comes to this match, I think, and especially Becky's promo the other night where she talked about how she helped make the Intercontinental Championship for the women and has built that along with the women's division, I think Becky Lynch takes the victory here and wins the Intercontinental Championship. AJ's not full-time. Becky is. And I think Becky holding the Intercontinental Championship is the best option moving forward. Having a credible name with that new title. It's probably about 1.5 years old, maybe. And then you can have plenty of female talent to build towards that championship with Becky as the champion and helping get the rub by working with her. So Becky Lynch over AJ Lee. Next up, the match of the weekend, in my opinion, that's going to take place. Gunther and Seth Rollins. Now, part of what I talked about earlier about this WrestleMania build kind of being all over the place, not feeling very special, injuries taking place. Braun Breaker was rumored to be facing Seth Rollins. He suffered an injury. He was on the shelf. Rollins was on the shelf with an injury, so there was a lot of doubt whether Rollins was going to come back. Rollins got cleared, so I figured if Rollins was getting cleared, they were going to clear Breaker and somehow insert him into the picture here. The rumor is that they want to wait on that, which I don't really have a problem with. But I do think we'll see Breaker involved here. I think Breaker will make an appearance, whether he helps Gunther win or he gets involved after the match and he, confronts Seth Rollins. I think Breaker will have a place on WrestleMania. And if he doesn't, then definitely for sure, I think the next night on Monday night or Monday night on Raw, we'll see him return. But I kind of like how simple the storytelling has been with Rollins and with Gunther. It's not very flashy, but they made the best of a situation with 2 guys that they wanted to showcase on WrestleMania and put them together. And I think it was a very good idea. And it's very simple. Gunther, he sees an opportunity to do a favor for Paul Heyman while at the same time trying to get some sort of redemption from Seth Rollins. He feels offended and disrespected that Rollins did not attempt to cash in his money in the bank on him and waited to take out a fallen CM Punk at SummerSlam last year. And he talks about it's all about 2 guys wanting to be the best. And they kind of inserted that in with this Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman issue that's been brewing for the last several months. So I like it. I like the simplicity of it, and it's not very flashy, and they've taken that in like a 2 or 3 week span, and they've made it one of the most anticipated matches on the card this year for WrestleMania. I'm expecting this to be match of the weekend. I'm expecting these 2 to go out there and kill it. Rollins and Gunther have only had one television match. That was in 2019 on Monday Night Raw, and it went like 7.5 minutes. So I'm guessing they're not going to get 7.5 minutes. They're going to get a lot longer than that. I wouldn't be surprised if they get close to, over the 25 minute mark. This is going to be this is the match. I'm not looking forward to this the most, but I think this is the match people are going to be talking about the most when it comes to bell-to-bell in-ring action between the two. So now, what that favor Gunther has or is looking for out of Paul Heyman, a lot of people are speculating, and it's very natural to think this way because of the rumored dream match, is that Gunther, if he disposes of Seth Rollins, he's going to want Paul Heyman to feed him Brock Lesnar. And I have no problem with that. I'd love to see it. The rumor is that Brock's allegedly going to be retiring at SummerSlam in Minneapolis in August. And so maybe we will see the result of Gunther's victory unfold this weekend or maybe even Monday on Raw. Brock is advertised to appear on Raw, so we'll see how that turns out. If I'm going with someone to win here, I'm going with Gunther. I think Gunther implying that Paul Heyman owes him a favor. It pretty much tells us that he can't lose this match. He can't. And I think with the outside chance that we get a Braun Breaker appearance to help really kickstart the rivalry with Rollins, I think that factors in here as well. I'm not saying Breaker's going to interfere. I don't think that would be a good idea. If anything, I think Breaker appears post-match. Gunther lays out Rollins, chokes him out, whatever. Rollins taps or doesn't tap, loses the match. Gunther leaves, and he nods to, Paul Heyman that you owe me one. I'm going to cash in when the time is right. And then Paul Heyman, Gunther leaves, and as Gunther's leaving up the ramp, Paul Heyman motions for someone to come out, and it's Braun Breaker. And Breaker comes out and spears Rollins or attempts to spear Rollins. Maybe they have a little pull apart back and forth. But yeah, Breaker for sure, I think, is making his return this weekend, whether it's WrestleMania Saturday or Monday Night Raw. He's definitely going to be brought back to kickstart this rivalry with Rollins. And like I said, I would have liked to have seen Rollins and Breaker because they had established some issues on television, with Breaker being the one to take him off TV back in the fall. However, I don't blame WWE Creative, if this rumor is true, that they wanted to give it some time and properly build the match with him and Rollins. So Breaker, Rollins, that's down the line, and I'm sure that they won't disappoint. So as far as the prediction, like I said, Gunther with the win. Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquer, and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan winning the Royal Rumble, challenging Vaquer. I think this has been a good rivalry. These two women have just shown how much they can't stand each other, and they've done everything they can to get a piece of each other one way or another. And this has been the most interesting rivalry in Stephanie Vaquer's title reign. I don't think this is going to end at WrestleMania. I think this will move past and move beyond WrestleMania. So with that being said, I think Stephanie Vaquer is going to retain the Women's Championship. There's a lot of people out there that have implied or suggested that maybe Liv Morgan's going to get screwed out of the championship by like a Roxanne or Raquel from Judgment Day. I haven't really seen too many seeds planted for her to split up from them, but maybe we'll see the beginning of that at WrestleMania. Maybe they will try to get involved and help her, and it doesn't work out and cost her the match, and that starts the tension. But I like what I've been seeing from Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. I really loved the sit-down interview with Liv Morgan and Dom when Stephanie Vaquer interrupted, and she spoke to her in Spanish and disrespected her in Spanish, made her cry as Dominic is translating for her what she's saying in Spanish. I thought that really was an interesting way to make things personal for them, and then it's just continued with the beat downs and the attacks. And the other night, Liv Morgan just pretty much going full psycho on Stephanie Vaquer and vice versa. So I'm expecting a good match from these two, and like I said, Vaquer for the win. All right, now let's get to probably the most controversial match from this card overall for both nights. And that's the main event of WrestleMania Saturday. It's Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship against Randy Orton, who will have Pat McAfee in his corner. Now, this is part of what I was talking about earlier with the WrestleMania build feeling weird to me. I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon with the fans where they're totally shitting all over this. I'm kind of waiting to see how this plays out. But as each week has passed since McAfee's been involved, it just hasn't. I can't connect the dots. It's not mathing. The math is not mathing. Why is he involved? Okay. At first, when they did this, I kind of dug it. I was like, oh, okay. McAfee is kind of like Orton's hype man. But the reason behind it, I'm going to save the wrestling business and then go out and promote discounts on WrestleMania tickets because they're having trouble selling seats. But Randy Orton, Randy Orton's going to save the business according to Pat McAfee. And this whole thing is about targeting Cody, who McAfee and Orton feel is not the best representative of the wrestling business, and he's the reason why WrestleMania is not selling. I don't know how productive that is. I will say that the only thing that has made this interesting is the little references that they have dropped on social media where they've had Cody and other talent openly talk about how this storyline or this situation with McAfee wasn't necessary and that there was so much history between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, 20 years of history that they could work off of to make this a great WrestleMania storyline, and it all gets wasted because of Pat McAfee's involvement via Ari Emanuel from TKO, who's trying to not only help push tickets for WrestleMania, but also make Pat McAfee into the next Sylvester Stallone, apparently. So I've liked how they've kind of taken that page of real life and how we're all feeling about it and incorporating that into the story, which also includes the pivot with Punk's shoot pipe bomb type promo from Raw a couple weeks ago, which has led to many people speculating that we're going to see some sort of TKO versus WWE type of storyline, a corporate type of storyline. Rock's name was dropped. Roman name-dropping Pat McAfee in the cold open on Monday Night Raw. Roman even talking about we, as in we're going to take back what you've messed up in his promo to Punk. Roman put out a tweet on social media of him responding to Punk's interview on WWE's social media page, and Pat McAfee retweeted that. So there's some level of interest, I will say, despite McAfee's involvement not making any sense. Talking about wanting the Attitude Era back. It feels like a repeat with the Travis Scott thing from last year. They're trying to finish that story, I guess you could say, but with McAfee and Travis Scott's role. Now, I will say, when the bell rings, I think Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes are going to put on a hell of a match. I just hope there isn't a ton of involvement from McAfee. I expect him to get involved somehow. Okay. I'd like to see him sit on commentary and sit with Cole and Wade Barrett and go back and forth a little bit. Maybe Michael Cole will grill him about his involvement. Maybe we get some real answers surrounding it. But if and this whole thing with McAfee saying if Orton doesn't win the title and save the business, that you're never going to see him in wrestling again. That right there, to me, I think it leads to Orton winning the championship and getting his 15th world title. However, McAfee's playing a heel, and it's not like it's written in a stipulation or in a contract. So if Cody were to win the title or keep the title at WrestleMania Saturday, then I can see them thinking, "Oh, McAfee's gone." Then he shows up, and it's like, "I lied." Like who? Like there was nothing contractually obligating me to abide by that stipulation, but by what I said, I lied. I don't care. I do what I want. I'm backed by TKO. The powers that be, they have my back. I'm not going anywhere. You think we're not done yet. I'm not done saving the business. So, as far as the prediction goes, I am going to go with Randy Orton here. I think Randy Orton's going to win the championship, and I think Cody's going to chase him. I think that's what we're going to look at post WrestleMania with McAfee's involvement. But I think there's a bigger play, and I think it involves Roman and Punk somehow. And I'll get to that shortly as I give my predictions for WrestleMania Sunday. But I think WrestleMania Saturday is going to end with Randy Orton standing tall with Pat McAfee by his side as the new WWE champion. So that's WrestleMania Saturday. Now, before I get into WrestleMania Sunday, I mentioned it earlier, and when it comes to talent being left off the card this year, there's some head scratchers. Carmelo Hayes, Io Sky, even El Grande Americano, who's had a popular rise on the roster in the last year. I think it's disappointing, and I think that there could have been room for some of these guys and gals to have a place on the card. I'm holding out hope that tomorrow night on SmackDown that we get some sort of finalizing when it comes to Nikki Bella's status and whether Io and Asuka face off at WrestleMania. I think Io's involvement with Rhea and the Jade storyline has kind of left it open-ended for her role at WrestleMania. Is she going to be there to back up Rhea? But then they insert Asuka in at times, and she's got this thing with Asuka. So I hope to see it because I was very surprised that they did not advertise or really push hard for a match with Io Sky on the card, considering her role in the women's division in the last year. She wins the belt last year at WrestleMania in that fantastic triple threat match with Rhea and Bianca Belair. And then she's the champion. She tags up with Rhea, and they're the tag team champions at one point. They had some great matches, and then all of a sudden, she's kind of left as an afterthought. So that kind of surprised me. The Carmelo Hayes thing surprised me as well. I was kind of hoping we would see Carmelo Hayes involved in some multi-man match for the United States title. He's had some great title defenses. I love how they've taken the United States Championship and turned it into the Open Challenge Championship in a way where every champion has adopted the Open Challenge. The stuff he did with Ilya Dragunov I thought was really good stuff. I was kind of hoping that him and Dragunov would have some involvement at WrestleMania this year in like a multi-man U.S. championship match, maybe even a ladder match. I was kind of hoping now that with Sami Zayn and Trick Williams in the United States Championship match that maybe they would turn that into a ladder match and have both mid-card championships between the U.S. and IC ladder matches, but we didn't get that. But yeah, just disappointing overall that some of these names did not make the WrestleMania card. Now, I get it. Not everyone can make the card, but Carmelo and Io in particular had significant impact on the programming in their roles in the last year. And to not have a place for them it's disappointing. You have a 3-hour countdown show, and they don't even put the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on the 3-hour countdown show. Instead, it's relegated to SmackDown, which nobody gives a shit about. Okay? And considering that Andre's match with Hogan's going into the Hall of Fame as an immortal moment this year, I figured it would have been a shoo-in that the match would have at least made the main card. But whatever. That's just my disappointment with some of the stuff when it comes to the builds for WrestleMania this year. I don't rule out the idea of Asuka and Io getting added last minute. Maybe Io and Jade have some sort of involvement tomorrow night on SmackDown with Rhea. Asuka gets involved. They have their physical altercation, and then Aldis and Adam Pearce are like, you know what? Let's just make the match for WrestleMania Sunday, because there's 6 matches on the WrestleMania Sunday card, and there's 7 on the Saturday one. So there's room for one more. But I could also see John Cena as the host adding a match or two, an impromptu match. I could see something like a Miz and Danhausen match getting added to the card, with Cena being the one to make the match. With the way things have gone down on television with Danhausen and his stuff with the Miz, which has been somewhat entertaining. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've been entertained by it. I was not sold on Danhausen from day one, but he's really grown a popularity and a following, and it's been somewhat entertaining. So, yeah, maybe we'll see Asuka and Io added. Maybe with the Sami Zayn Trick Williams match, we'll see John Cena, before the bell rings, announce that he's adding Carmelo Hayes to the match as a surprise. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. I don't see it happening, but I'd like to. So, yeah, that's just my disappointment and my gripe with some of the names that were left off the WrestleMania card this year, given their role and their impact on programming. Now, let's get into WrestleMania Sunday here. Okay, WrestleMania Sunday, 6 matches. The first hour on ESPN, the original ESPN channel. And on the first hour of ESPN, the opening match is going to be Brock Lesnar, Obafemi. This is the match that I want to see the most on this whole card. This has been WrestleMania quality build, okay? They've taken a guy like Obafemi who is just hit the main roster. He had a great run in NXT, and they paired him up with a superstar like Brock Lesnar, and it's worked, okay? It has worked. They didn't do the traditional formula where they take a new guy from NXT, they have him run through a few of the lower card guys on the main roster, and then they put him in something, and then after that they cool his jets, and then they figure out if he's going to be something. Like, they didn't do all that. They saw the potential, and I would imagine that Brock wanted to work with Obafemi. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. It's not like they just say, hey, Brock, you're going to work with so-and-so. I mean, the narrative over the years has been is that Brock has been hands-on with who he works with. So I've loved the build-up for this, okay? They have made Obafemi look like an equal to Brock Lesnar, from their interaction in the Royal Rumble earlier this year to him accepting Brock's challenge and getting the best of Brock, the pull-apart contract signing a few weeks ago, and then the promo he had with Heyman on Monday. They have done everything they can to make him look like a superstar, and it's worked, and the crowd has reacted great to it. Like I said, WrestleMania quality build-up with these two. And I'm expecting a good train wreck between these guys, okay? Now, here's where I'm conflicted. Oba's popularity has just soared, okay? And I think it's a case of he's connecting with the audience, he's charismatic, and the people want to see something new and fresh. And he's that guy, okay? He's one of those guys, I should say. And Brock is Brock, and he still draws, but when you look at this on paper, it's like King Kong and Godzilla. People want to see this train wreck. They just think that there's potential for it to be awesome. And I think that's why people are so into this match. And you can make the argument that with Oba's popularity, it's a slam dunk. He's got to beat Brock, okay? Now, on the other side of the coin, you could make the argument that, well, if he beats Brock, but then loses to somebody else of lesser stature than Brock, how does that make Oba look? that he lost to. I'm not saying that they're going to have Oba job to like a Kit Wilson, but if Oba were to beat Brock, and then later on down the line, let's say he loses to I don't know, Punk. No, not Punk. That's not a good comparison. Anyways, lesser stature than Brock. People are going to be like, huh? He beat Brock, but he couldn't beat him? Now it's wrestling. I guess you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit. But I don't think Oba losing to Brock at WrestleMania could hurt him. Okay? I know there will be a lot of angry and disappointed fans, but I don't think that's going to hurt him. Brock has not gotten the upper hand in this rivalry, and it's not the first time that that's happened. The Drew McIntyre WrestleMania lead up, before COVID hit, Drew had gotten the best of Brock every single chance they were on television together. And Brock ended up losing to Drew, losing the title. So it would not surprise me if Oba were to beat Brock and Brock didn't get this build-up. They didn't get the upper hand at some point in the rivalry. I do think, though, that like Oba, if they're going to have Oba beat Brock, it can't be. There's two ways that that I feel that they could work this, whether Oba wins or Oba loses. Let's say Oba wins. Oba has to beat Brock, and he's pretty much just got to beat him pillar to post, almost very much like when Brock beat Cena in 2014 at SummerSlam, where Cena maybe got like a minute and a half of offense on display. Oba's got to have that dominant victory over Brock for like a 8 to 10 minute period. And that's including entrances too, okay? That's, to me, I think what's going to make Oba a big star. If you're going to go with Oba to beat Brock, that's how you have to do it. Now, if you're going to go with Brock beating Oba, okay, and you want to make Oba a star in defeat, then Oba's got to get the best of Brock for the majority of the match, but then his inexperience comes into play, and Brock squeaks out the victory by hook or by crook, okay? And that still makes Oba look like a star. Like he bodied Lesnar the majority of that match, but his inexperience came into play. Lesnar capitalized on it and picked up the win. Those are the only two ideal scenarios for an Oba win or an Oba loss. And as far as my prediction goes, this is first hour on ESPN. ESPN allegedly wanted Brock featured on their programming. They put this match on first. This is going to open WrestleMania Sunday. You would make the argument that if ESPN wants Brock, they're going to have Brock win. But I think also it would mean much more if Oba got the victory and beat Brock. Like I said, dominant victory. And Oba is spotlighted on a large platform like ESPN. Having that big moment at WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania that is broadcasted on linear television on ESPN Probe, that would be huge for him. That would really set him up perfectly for his rise to the top in the main event scene in WWE. I truly believe that. So my prediction, Oba Femi beats Brock Lesnar. Now, I mentioned him earlier, Gunther. Allegedly, the rumor is that Gunther and Brock SummerSlam, maybe Gunther wants Paul Heyman to deliver Brock as part of the favor for doing his bidding against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania Saturday. I can see some sort of confrontation between Gunther and Brock, whether it's a stare down after Brock loses to Oba, or maybe the next night on Raw, Brock and Heyman come out to address the loss, and that's when Gunther wants to cash in or wants to imply that, hey, this is what I'm here for. I took care of your business. Now you give me him. Or maybe Gunther wants what the favor he wants out of Heyman is that he wants this to be Brock's last match. He wants to be the guy to retire Brock. Okay? There's different avenues they can go with it, and I'm sure that they've got that all mapped out, and if they don't, well, they have time to figure that out. But I would imagine that at some point, and I don't think a Brock loss to Oba hurts Brock even going into a match with Gunther, because there's that level of vulnerability that I think would work in this situation, especially if it's allegedly going to be Brock's last match at SummerSlam in Minneapolis. So, Obafemi over Brock Lesnar for the win to open up WrestleMania Sunday. Also on the first hour of WrestleMania Sunday on ESPN is the six-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship with Penta defending the Intercontinental title against Javon Evans, JD McDonough, Dragon Lee, Rusev, and the returning Rey Mysterio. I love ladder matches. It's probably my favorite gimmick match, so I expect this match to have car crash quality to it. All these high-flying names involved in the match with the exception of Rusev, of course. He's the brute that's going to kind of be the landing pad, if you will. I was kind of hoping that we'd get some more names involved in this match. Maybe Vikingo from AAA. Him and Penta had a great Intercontinental Championship match on AAA's program last week. I was hoping maybe one, if not both, of the El Grande Americanos had some involvement in this Intercontinental Championship match. I kind of thought we were going to have them involved in the IC title picture a while back when they were doing stuff with Penta and them on television. Penta wrestling both and trying to go after the Intercontinental title. I was really hoping for that. We didn't get it, but maybe we'll get some last-minute additions to the match. I don't know. Probably not. This card seems pretty finalized to me, the way that they're advertising it on television. So, car crash match I expect. The Rey Mysterio edition is interesting. I don't know what this is going to lead to with Rey. Rey, everyone else qualified, allegedly, and Rey didn't, and Rey just got inserted to the match, so I don't know if this is going to lead to him and Penta post-WrestleMania. Many would expect that Rey's going to win. I think they like Penta. I mean, the way that they have presented him on television, they see him as a big star. So if I'm going to pick a winner, I'm going to pick Penta to keep the IC title in that ladder match. We're going to see Dragon Lee do some wild stuff. We're going to see JD McDonough do some wild stuff. Javon Evans is going to shine. Rey's probably going to have some shine in this match. Rusev's going to do some pretty destructive things. So like I said, I expect this to be a car crash, and I think this is going to be a good way to attract viewers that are watching on ESPN to maybe get the app and continue watching the rest of the show itself. So, Penta for the win. United States Championship match. Sami Zayn defending the United States title against Trick Williams. Now, I like their story going into WrestleMania. Trick being the new kid on the block, the new hot commodity. Sami kind of being the veteran that has been taken back a few steps, had been down on his luck, not been able to capitalize on opportunities to be showcased and spotlighted more, and Trick kind of rubbing it in his face, and the people getting behind Trick and now starting to, lose interest in Sami. I think that's been a pretty good story, consistently. And with the little additions of like Cody and even Randy telling Sami that you're a nice guy and you do a great job, but you need to capitalize on opportunities if you want to succeed in the industry. And I didn't think initially that this match, that including this as a United States Championship match, was necessary. However, the arc of getting Sami to that next step in his progression in the story of him finally making the most of his opportunity by capitalizing on defeating Carmelo Hayes in the United States Championship Open Challenge, I thought was a good way of setting this up. I didn't like it at first, but I was like, you know what? Now this all makes sense. Sami doesn't capitalize and take advantage of opportunities. Everyone else gets second and third chances, so he made his own opportunity, and he did it at the expense of Carmelo Hayes, who now is left off the WrestleMania card. Do we see Carmelo Hayes involved in this match? He made it clear on SmackDown the other night that, if Trick were to win that title, him and Trick are going to run it back. There's history between the two of them because Trick was the reason why he lost the championship. I was surprised they did not make this a triple threat. I really was. I thought that when they gave Carmelo the rematch with Sami, there'd be some shenanigans that would set up Aldis putting Melo into the match, making it a triple threat. Maybe Melo will get involved. I don't know. Trick's is the hot hand right now. He's very popular. So it would be easy for me to say that Trick Williams is going to win the match and become the United States champion. However, I think they're really exploring more with the idea of a character shift between both of them and maybe even a double turn. So I could see Sami Zayn retaining the title. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Sami Zayn retaining the United States Championship, and they're going to prolong this stuff with him and Trick. But Trick's going to come out a star this match. He really is. The audience is behind him, and I think they're going to fully get behind him as a babyface, and Sammy's going to be the heel who feels like the people turned on him, and that his hard work and dedication wasn't appreciated by the audience, and they instead they backed up this young punk in Trick Williams. So for the win, Sami Zayn keeping the United States Championship. Next up is the WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill defending the championship against Rhea Ripley. When you look at this on paper, physically, it's a very physically imposing match. Jade's not the best in ring. Rhea's the most popular. This is only going to make Jade a bigger star by working with Rhea. And this is probably the most interesting Jade's WWE Championship run has been since she's won the title. Which, again, another situation. It's the same result as what I mentioned earlier with Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. And Stephanie Vaquer, that her stuff with Liv has been the most interesting stuff in her run. I don't think it's time for Jade to lose the title yet. Even though Rhea is by far and away the at the top of the women's division. She doesn't even have the championship. I liked how they gave Jade a group with Michin and B-Fab and kind of giving it some substance and adding some substance. I'm expecting Io to be involved in this somehow. Maybe she'll counteract. Maybe Asuka will get involved. Dream scenario would be is that Jade and her crew get the best of Rhea, and Io comes out. There's still a numbers game, and then boom, Bianca Belair returns, and you have the three women from last year's Triple Threat match, which was arguably one of the best matches that entire weekend, standing next to each other, side by side, fighting off Jade Cargill and her baddies, her group. That's just a dream scenario. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, cool. As far as the match goes, I think it's going to be very physical. I like how they have taken. They have leaned into that like online narrative of like Jade not being young and inexperienced and reckless in the ring, and they've used that her arrogance to enhance her persona going into the match against Rhea Ripley. Like I said, Rhea's an easy pick to win because they love her, but I think it would be beneficial to Jade and beneficial for their story if Jade got the victory. Maybe Asuka gets in, or I'm sorry, maybe Io gets involved and accidentally costs Rhea the match, and we get Io and Rhea again post WrestleMania. I could see something like that taking place, And then maybe if Bianca does return, they slot her in with Jade Cargill with Jade as the champion, and Bianca's the one to dethrone Jade. Never know. But prediction, I'm going to go with Jade. I think Jade's going to beat Rhea. There's going to be some sort of involvement, whether that's with her group, with Io Sky, maybe even Asuka and Kairi are going to get involved somehow. But I think there's going to be some tomfoolery and some shenanigans that lead to Jade picking up the victory over Rhea. So Jade Cargill for the win. Up next, Dominic Mysterio against the Demon Finn Balor. They've done a good job of really building the tension between these two over the last year, which really started at last year's WrestleMania when Dom and Balor were challenging for the Intercontinental Championship in that four-way with Penta and Braun Breaker. And they've just continued to drop little seeds and hints, and now we're full bloom. And Balor's back to being the Demon. I like this renewed sense of importance that WWE has put on Finn Balor with the matches he had with AJ Styles and CM Punk, a while back. They've really made you care about Finn again, and now they have him come back as the Demon persona. I think it's time that Dominic gets his comeuppance, and it's against Finn Balor, and I'm gonna go with Balor for the victory over Dom. I don't think that there's any reason why. I think Dom's going to move on to greater things. He's the AAA Mega Campeon. I think eventually Dom's going to be main event WrestleMania. That's for sure. I don't think he's going to be a babyface anytime soon, but I think coming out of this, he's going to be a bigger star. And what Balor does moving forward, hopefully it's of some substance and significance. Which brings us to our main event of WrestleMania Sunday, the main event of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns challenging CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. This has been a good build between these two. Two guys who allegedly, legitimately have some issues behind the scenes with each other. They've really broken the fourth wall, giving us a peek behind the curtain of what these guys really feel about each other. Again, leaning into that narrative of what fans have speculated about their relationship with each other, that online talk, if you will. So, overall, it's been good. And it's not the most anticipated match on the show, but it's right behind Brock and Oba, in my opinion. And I mentioned it earlier. I think we're seeing something. I think there's going to be some involvement with Pat McAfee. Okay, and Randy Orton. I think we're seeing some sort of TKO corporate takeover storyline where McAfee's kind of like the voice of that, and he's got Randy Orton and now Roman Reigns to save the wrestling business. Punk kind of fired back at McAfee in that shoot promo a few weeks ago that was part of that pivot that I talked about earlier, and how they've taken the feelings of the fans online. They've incorporated that into the story. They've even had the talent. Cody's been talking about it all week in all the interviews and podcasts he's done about how this is, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why McAfee's involved. Damian Priest said something in a podcast recently. So now they've included Roman into this. I think at least that's the way it appears. The closing promo the other night where Punk talked about he was envious of Roman because of everything that Roman had accomplished and how it was given to him and he didn't have to work as hard. And Roman being envious of Punk because of his connection with the audience that Roman's always wanted. And all the other stuff they've talked about, the trajectories in each other's careers, and they've kind of paralleled each other. And Punk having to work harder and Roman kind of getting handed everything even when the audience wasn't really receptive to him, and now he kind of finally figured it out in the last 6 years or so, and he's become the biggest name in WWE. It's just been pretty good stuff. The Usos were involved early on. Now they're kind of out of it because they got their own stuff with the Vision. Maybe they'll get involved. I don't know. Rock's name was dropped in Punk's promo a couple of weeks ago. Of course, everyone's going to speculate. Every year it seems like they're going to speculate Rock's going to be involved in some form or fashion if he's not advertised for the show. I'm not holding my breath, but if he does make an appearance, I think it's going to be to benefit Roman. And which brings me to something that was mentioned the other night by Roman. He said we are going to fix the mess that Punk created. Okay? Who's we? All right? And I'm surprised that they didn't have Punk respond back with that question. McAfee has kind of alluded to his endorsement of Roman Reigns. And even in the tweet that I just saw this morning, where Roman cut that promo in the limousine on the way to, after watching Punk's interview on the social media, dropping an F-bomb, and McAfee retweeted it. Randy Orton's going to save the business on Saturday, and Roman's going to finish things on Sunday. Maybe we're going to get some sort of alliance with McAfee, Orton, and Roman. Some sort of TKO alliance. Maybe The Rock is the one that's really pulling all the strings. I don't know. We'll see. one way or another, this whole we thing, I think, is the big hook for me. And the idea that Punk has brought up that Roman can't do this on his own, I think that's going to factor into the finish. Whether it's inadvertently or not, I think Roman wins the championship and gets some help. Whether that's from Orton and McAfee, whether that's from The Rock, whether that's from the Usos. I think Roman Reigns beats CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. Punk's had a great run as champion. I've enjoyed this run, and I think there's a lot of meat on the bone to continue this with Roman and Punk. But I do believe that this pivot that I mentioned earlier, we're gonna see like I said, a corporate takeover, TKO versus WWE, and we're gonna see more of that within where they're gonna give us stuff that we may not want to see, but then they're gonna respond back with acknowledging our feelings and having essentially Cody and Punk and other names fight for the audience that wants their WWE back, that wants their pro wrestling back. So yeah, if I'm going to go with a winner here, I'm going with Roman. And I think this is, I said this in conversation with someone else, early in the build. I was like, if Roman wins, this has got to be something different. His run as champion has to be something different than what we saw the last time. I'm not expecting a 1,300-day, 4-year championship run. If we get it, I'm sure, people are going to have their feelings about it, but there needs to be something different about this. And I think now with things becoming a little bit more clearer with McAfee and his involvement with Randy Orton and kind of him acknowledging Roman and Roman even acknowledging him, that we are going to get something different from Roman as the champion, and almost like it's going to be blatant that like he's the corporate poster boy for TKO. So we'll see how everyone else factors in. I've heard scenarios drop that, Rock comes back, he helps Punk win. Or Rock comes back, he helps Roman win, and then he drops Roman, and they set up the match next year in Saudi Arabia between him and Roman. Could that happen? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm not ruling out one way or another whether The Rock's going to be a part of WrestleMania or not. So yeah, those are my WrestleMania predictions. That about does it. Thank you all for pressing play, hitting download, liking, subscribing, and rating and reviewing this podcast. Hope you all enjoy WrestleMania this weekend. Just be a fan, man. Seriously, let's not overanalyze it. I know I just gave my predictions and I kind of overthought some of the finishes, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be losing sleep one way or another whether the desired result I predicted or want to see doesn't come to fruition. So just be a fan, enjoy the show, and if you don't enjoy it, don't watch it. Okay. There's gonna be plenty of WrestleMania stuff that you can sink your teeth into that you'll like for sure. But I do believe that bell to bell, this card could be an all timer. Whether the build's been great or not, or the shits or not, I think in ring we're gonna see one of the best WrestleMania of all time in ring, bell to bell. So mark my words on that. Bookmark it. Save this clip. Do whatever you got to do, but that's my thought on it. So, and that about does it for this episode of Kicking Out at 2. Thank you all, and like I said, enjoy WrestleMania week. Be a fan, enjoy it, and with that being said, it's time to put this one down for the 3 count. Happy WrestleMania week, and we'll see you all next time.